You're listening to the Ripple Podcast. We joke and laugh a lot, but the content itself is serious, sometimes scary, graphic, and always true. This podcast is meant for mature audiences and includes subject matter and language that is not suitable for young listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Get Ripple, the bright new drink with that ring-a-ding flavor. Ripple.
Or like your mouth sounds like that.
But what if people like those sounds?
I don't know. We'll have to do a special episode just for them.
Just sounds.
We should do that.
Just sounds. All right.
All right. Are we getting started?
Yeah, we're already drinking.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
It is Merry Christmas Day.
It's a Christmas morning.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It is.
So it is Wednesday for us. So it is Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
And this comes out Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, yes.
This is our gift to you.
Yes. And I want to thank everybody who sent us these amazing gifts that we have all around us.
We're surrounded by presents.
It's so
packages
amazing. Like I'm just blown away at all of our followers sending us so many awesome
guys are the best.
So great. And you know, if you missed out on sending us a gift, we will.
There's still time. There's New Year's.
We will absolutely accept your gifts. If you want to send us a DM for our address, we will definitely give you our P.O. box if you want to send us something.
100%. We haven't posted it on our socials yet, but if you want it, send us a message. And you can, or I can send you my Venmo.
I was just gonna say, like, if that's easier, if you just want to Venmo me something, like, that's cool. Totally fine.
And if you send it to me, I will totally share it with Angela. We hope you have a great Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. We hope you have a great Hanukkah if you celebrate Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa,
or Festivus
for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Today is Festivus. What's your grievance?
I have so many.
Yell it at
How much time do you have?
Poll. Is it a poll that you yell at?
Yes, the Festivus poll.
Okay.
This freaking wind that we've been dealing with.
Oh my gosh.
My lips have never been so dry.
Yeah. The wind is ridiculous. And it's cold. It's a cold wind.
It is. We're not used to this in California, especially Southern California, I should say. It's like in the 50s.
I have my big old Ugg boots on. You have your like fuzzy slippers and a beanie on.
I sure do.
Do you want to know the temperature outside right now?
Yes. And I'm cold. Oh man, I bet people hate when we talk about this.
The weather.
Yeah.
Well, you're in California.
Yeah.
It's cold.
It is.
It's really cold.
It really is.
I have some Canadian friends that have been sending pictures of like snow piles outside their house.
Just trenches, like digging out their sidewalks, and it's
like,
just like a wall of snow they have to walk through.
There's a reason it's the Great White North.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I bet it's beautiful. I bet it's really, really pretty.
And peaceful. Like, there's something about the sound or lack thereof when snow's on the ground. It's like a great sound.
It just muffles everything. It just absorbs it.
So quiet.
Yeah. On my way home today, I was just driving through a cloud of dirt because we haven't had rain since like March, I think.
And it looks like smoke.
It does.
Because it's so dusty and dirty. It looks like clouds of smoke.
Yeah, we're just in a giant dirt cloud right now. We're like Linus from Snoopy Peanuts. That's pretty much our life. Mm-hmm. But oh well.
That's
the year's almost over. Yeah, what's yours?
Mine is masks, and not wearing them like, well, yes, wearing them, but like wearing them because they don't fit my face correctly.
Really?
Yeah, I have tried.
There's so many.
I know, and I've tried a bunch, and either like I feel like they just come too high on my eyes. Like
you should do those the gator things. You know what I'm talking about?
Like just like thing goes around your whole head.
It goes like around your neck. It's like a infinity scarf sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you just like pull it up over your nose real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have serious disgusting. Sorry. TMI, but I have like serious mask acne right now.
Maskne.
Is that a thing?
Maskne.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this won't be going on too much longer.
I'm a mask wearer. Don't get me wrong. When I go into my Target stores or whatever, I put my mask on.
Just do whatever the businesses want to do because I will respect the owners of the business.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's mine. It's just I can't find a mask that fits my face.
Well, maybe somewhere in this pile of gifts we have, there will be
the perfect fitting mask.
Yeah.
Oh. Maybe it's that shiny orange one over there.
It could be. We'll have to open that one up and see.
Okay.
So, do you have anything strange and unusual to share?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
I know. I probably should have asked you this before we started recording, especially since we've been talking for like a good hour before we turn the microphones on.
Yeah. Strange and unusual. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I was at Target earlier today. It's more like strange and fun, but I found cheese curds in the dairy aisle.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
Because I missed, COVID shut down our county fair this year, and I missed getting my cheese curds.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting. That's like a little special thing that just puts a little smile on your face in this 2020 year of crap.
It's not real strange and unusual. I'm sure I could think of something, but... That's the first thing that comes to mind, probably because I'm hungry and I haven't had dinner yet.
Oh.
How about you? Do you have something to tell me?
I don't know. I just have my, it's not particularly strange and unusual. It's just my normal social anxiety that's always at a constant. So I wouldn't say it's particularly unusual, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I had to call you earlier this week because I had a social anxiety hangover, what I call it. But I'll say, I'm pretty proud of myself for getting through it.
You should be. Yeah. Why don't you tell everybody what happened? Because you rocked it.
Yeah. Well, so I had part of my job. I work in agriculture, and typically I'm by myself, which I think I've said this many times before. I'm alone all day. I do my work. I write my reports. I send it off to my growers. And I recently got involved in a conservation program. And as a part of that, I actually have to talk to people. And it's one thing to talk to people in person. I'm totally fine with that. I can have little meetings here and there. But since COVID hit, everything is through Zoom now. And for whatever reason, that just sends my anxiety through the roof. I think I'm just much more hyper aware of the way I'm speaking and my mannerisms and everything. And it's probably because I can see it
exactly
in the camera.
Even for me, when I have my Zoom, so my friend passed away about a year ago or so. And all us high school friends, we met on Zoom just last week for her birthday, to kind of talk about her and
nice.
Cheers for her birthday. And we were on Zoom, and I was so aware of my facial expressions and what my face is doing, and I'm just the way I look, and it's so I can't imagine. I mean, these are my friends who I've had since high school,
right?
But you, as a professional, talking to people in a giant, large group.
Yeah, these are people from all over the country. So it was just my entire week was just the anxiety of anticipation of waiting for this thing to happen. And then once it was all over, I was just so glad and happy that it was over. And
but you did so well. You did it.
You didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it, but you felt confident.
Yeah, I will say that I was happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm Rosa.
I'm Angela.
And this is the Ripple Podcast.
This is the Ripple Podcast. We're going to start doing that more often. I think we need to do that at the top of every episode.
Because our voices are similar.
Very.
Our cadences are similar.
Definitely.
Our humor is twisted.
Kinda.
Similar. But yeah, I'm Rosa.
Yeah. So, should we get into this? I feel like I have a kind of long story tonight.
But can you tell us what you made me to drink since we're already on our second one?
Right. So, I made a cocktail special for tonight. The location that I picked for my story tonight is France. So, I mixed up a French 75. Rosa, have you ever had a French 75?
I've never even heard of a French 75.
Okay, you're going to have to listen up because these are all of your favorite things in one drink.
Okay.
So this is gin,
Love it.
lemon juice,
Like it. Love it.
simple syrup.
Sweet.
Fill up the rest of the glass with champagne.
Done.
Yep, that's what this is. And we've already downed one. We're on our second drink. I love it. I've
Okay,
never
wait.
had this before.
Tell me what it's called again.
French 75.
And what does the 75 stand for?
I have no idea. I probably should have looked that up.
Huh. And it's pink.
It's it's not normally pink. It's pink because the gin that I bought is a pink gin. I think it was aged. I want to say it was aged in wine barrels, which gives it that pink color.
It's like the prettiest gin I've ever seen
It is
before.
really gorgeous. It's called.
It's such a girly gin.
It is.
Gin.
It's really delicious. It's called Rendell's Original Gin, and it's pretty pink.
Let me
and-
smell it.
Here, go for it.
Just the gin. I'm a big gin.
Yeah,
drinker.
these are all of your things.
Yeah,
You love all of those things
champagne.
in one drink. What do you think?
It smells delicious. It smells real. I've never seen pink gin before.
Oh, I have a couple times.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if this particular one was aged in wine barrels, but that is how.
I'm kind of a gin snob.
Are you? Do you
So
Do you want to try this by itself?
I gravitate towards my normal gin.
What do you normally like to drink? What gin?
Sapphire.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a little later you can try this straight and tell me if it's good gin or
so
not.
pretty.
It is very pretty.
Well, I like it.
Okay.
Are we gonna post the recipe?
Yeah, I took a picture, so I'll go ahead and post it. And you guys can try it out and drink along with us. This will be a great little Christmas drink.
And your theme is what again? I forget.
My theme was medical oddities, and this is like, I want to say the fourth time we've done medical oddities.
Oh, that's right. We pulled it from the basket now.
But I tried to pick like a really interesting one. This one has a little bit of true crime to it.
Cool.
So I think you'll like it.
Awesome.
Okay, so my story starts back in 1887. So 35-year-old police detective Robert Ledru was considered one of France's best detectives.
Okay.
Like, he was just on his game. So when authorities asked him to help with the mysterious case of missing sailors in Normandy, Ledru answered the call. He arrived to the port late in the evening and went to bed early. When he awoke the next morning, he was surprised to discover that his shoes and socks were damp. So I'm thinking like, okay, he's staying at some sort of rental or hotel or whatever that they put him up in. And he's right by the beach. So it's probably just like the humidity, it's like a little bit more damp. Everything's kind of damp by the beach.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So when he arrived at the police station the following morning, he was told that the missing sailors were actually a low priority because there had been a murder in the night.
And he's a detective.
And he's a detective. And they're like, okay, don't worry about the sailors right now. We need to take care of this murder.
He's local to that area?
No.
They brought him in.
Right.
So they are pretty much changing the reason they brought him in.
Yes.
Okay.
Overnight. So a prominent businessman by the name of Andre Monet was discovered shot the night before. The victim had not been robbed and nothing pointed to any motive or suspect. So Ledru went to investigate the crime scene and found the victim face down on the shore. He noticed footprints in the sand leading away from the scene. He had the police search for shell casings and make a plaster cast of the clearest footprints before they were swept away by the changing tide.
Yeah, seriously. They got to work fast if it's on the beach.
Yeah, so once dry, Ledru took the castings and studied it on the beach. He stared and he just sat in the sand for hours, just really intently observing, just staring at these footprints.
When I'm at the beach, I can sit in the stand for hours, but I'm not staring at footprints.
Right. So the police chief said that he sat there like a statue staring at the footprints while they searched for other clues. He wasn't even fazed by the wind, the sand, and the rising tide.
Super into it.
Yeah. So finally he got up and told the police chief to call off the investigation. There was no need to search for any clues because he had solved the case.
What?
So Rosa, what do you think that he saw that would make him think like, okay, case closed? Do you have any ideas?
I mean, suicide, I guess, if it was only one set of footprints.
Okay. That's a thought. Like maybe there was just footprints leading up to where this guy died and there was nothing leading away.
Yeah. I mean, in the shell case, I don't know if there was a weapon found, but
I mean, I guess if he had a gun or something, if he was close enough to the shore, it could have been swept away.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, how else do you solve it by just looking at the sand?
Well, let me tell you. So LeDrew was shocked to see that the big toe of the left foot did not leave an indentation in the sand. After an extensive examination, he could no longer deny that the print was his very own foot.
Wait, wait, what?
Which was missing a big toe.
And he had wet
shoes and
footprints.
socks.
Or socks, yeah.
Yes.
Wait, so he shot this guy and didn't know he shot it? Him? What?
You are exactly right.
And he's like, okay, I just solved my own crime.
You are exactly right. So the killer was Robert LeDrew himself, even though he had absolutely no memory of the shooting.
That is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying.
So he actually recognized his own footprints in the sand when he checked his revolver. He also, he kept it fully loaded all the time. He saw that it was missing one round.
What?
Then he remembered his wet socks and shoes from that morning. He concluded that he must have been sleepwalking on the beach the night before when he encountered Mr. Monet and shot him dead.
How is he missing a toe? What did he do?
I don't know. And I really looked for that because I feel like that's pretty crucial information. Like, I don't even know if you could walk properly without a big toe. I feel like that's pretty important for balance.
Yeah.
But apparently he was missing a big toe. And I feel like that's a pretty red flag, like big red flag.
And he was barefoot, or at least in socks.
Yeah. So he shot Mr. Monet, and he thinks he did it in his sleep. So the police were obviously skeptical at first, and LeDrew's bosses thought that their star detective must have been suffering from some sort of temporary crisis caused by overwork and stress that led him to imagine himself as the killer. However, ballistics testing proved that the bullet recovered from the crime scene had been fired from LeDrew's revolver and confirmed that he was in fact the killer.
What?
Mm-hmm. So he was jailed for his own good, and he was kept under constant watch until the courts could decide what to do with him. Because, like, what do you do?
Are they monitoring his sleep?
Well, that's what they did. So while he was there, authorities gave him a revolver loaded with blanks.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. And one night, LeDrew got up and fired at a guard.
No way.
So at this point, they were convinced that he was indeed a homicidal sleepwalker.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. And that is the medical oddity that we are talking about tonight.
Homicidal
sleepwalker.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm sure you'll get into this, but kind of like the parasitic twins, if someone commits a crime while they're sleepwalking, are they really committing that crime?
And that's exactly what we're going to talk about tonight.
Okay, all right.
Because I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really depends, because let's say that defense works for somebody, and then these other people decide, like, oh, I'll just claim that I was asleep and get away with murder.
But sleepwalking is like a legit thing. Like,
it is absolutely a legit thing.
Mm.
But then you also have experts who claim, just like if you go way, way back to episode 1 with our hypnosis case, that people won't do something in their sleep that they wouldn't do in their regular waking life.
Be okay with. But if he's a detective, he's been trained to shoot, accurately, and, maybe he was dreaming the man on the beach was someone that was attacking him. So, like, he's not okay, but, like, has been trained to kill.
Yeah. And we'll get in more to that, because there's, like, a lot of misconceptions about sleepwalking and why people sleepwalk and how, like, what they're going through in their mind while all of this is going on. But yeah, we'll talk about all of that.
Okay.
So let me tell you really quick what happens to our detective friend here, and then we'll get on to the more medical side of it. So after he confirms that he definitely has this disorder, the courts decide like, okay, well, he didn't intentionally do this. He's still an amazing detective. He's like, you know, given us so much service throughout the years. So what they decide to do is put him on this farm outside of Paris. What? Why are you laughing?
Like send him out to pasture.
Yeah, they basically do. They put him out on a secluded farm outside of Paris where he continued to investigate cases from afar while under the watch of doctors and armed personnel.
Okay,
And-
that seems fair. That
Yeah.
seems
And,
like
like-
a good solution.
Right, a good compromise. And he spent the next 50 years there.
Whoa.
Yeah, and 50 years later is when he died in 1937. And this was like the first recorded case. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. But this is one of the first recorded cases of homicidal sleepwalking.
Okay.
Okay, so Rosa,
Yes.
do you think that it is possible for somebody to kill in their sleep?
Absolutely.
Really? That
Yeah.
quickly?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's not what I would have thought initially.
That I would say that.
No. I don't think that I would have thought that before I started researching this medical oddity.
I do.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What makes you think that?
I think people do weird things when they sleep. I think I know that there's sleep eaters.
Yes. That's definitely a common
I know
problem.
there's sleep sex people that have sex while they're asleep.
Okay.
I know there's people that have night terrors. Sleep is bizarre for some. Lots of sleep talkers. So, murder obviously is like super intense and stuff, but I think it could happen, especially if a person is under stress or hasn't slept for a while or is, consumed with work that is related to maybe crime or whatever, but even just normal stress situations.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point because, carrying a gun on a regular basis and having that familiarity with the gun and having that like built-in muscle memory, because I'm sure he practiced it with it fairly frequently.
For trains and stuff, yeah.
That I could see how that would just be like one step away. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting concept. Let's first talk about what sleepwalking really is and why people do it. Sleepwalking. So the first thing is medical professionals don't all agree on what it is or why it occurs. So there's a lot of different opinions on what this is.
I'm not surprised.
Because if you think about it, it's like if you look at it from a survival evolutionary side, like it's not a good thing to have.
No.
Like if you're in caveman days
You're going to get hurt.
Absolutely. So it's weird that it's something that's still with us in today's time.
But sleep in general is so not understood.
Very true.
Because dreams, we don't understand all of that. Why it happens and
yeah, it's a very strange way for our body to use energy to like project pictures in our dreams. It's weird. It's very, very weird.
So sleepwalking is, I feel like, a couple steps above just dreaming.
Yeah, for sure. So sleepwalking, formerly known as somnambulism, is now classified as a type of medical disorder known as parasomnia. So this abnormal behavior straddles the border between sleep and wakefulness, which is why actions that occur during parasomnia are often strange and unusual. So a common misconception, which is something that you just mentioned, is that sleepwalkers are carrying out their actions of their dreams. That's not, in fact, what's happening, because parasomnia occurs during non-REM sleep or, NREM part of the sleep cycle.
Okay.
So when you're dreaming, you're actually in REM sleep. So this is non-REM, which is also known as stage 3 deep sleep.
So it's kind of going back to our lucid dreaming episode.
Okay.
Where there was the different stages and the REM and what's happening in what dream cycle stage.
Yeah. So when you were talking about lucid dreams, did that occur during REM?
Yes. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So I'm pretty
episodes
sure
ago.
it was, because it seems like that's when your dreams happen, is during REM sleep.
Right.
And during this non-REM sleep, it's really weird because if you're not dreaming and you're not awake, what's controlling what you're doing? Like, you're almost a zombie at that point.
Totally.
Which is really bizarre to me, because obviously there's some sort of things firing in your brain that say,
Make me do this.
Exactly. Go into the kitchen and, make a sandwich and then throw it out the window, or whatever weird stuff you're doing while you're sleepwalking.
Uh-huh.
But like, it's almost eerie for me to think about, like, okay, you're not conscious, but you're not dreaming. And there's
What are you?
Exactly.
Oh, that's weird. I've never thought about that before.
Isn't that creepy? Like, it makes me uncomfortable thinking about that.
What is happening to me right now?
It's so
Have you ever
creepy.
sleepwalked?
Yes, I have.
Shut up.
So I don't know how many times I have. I only know about the one time that I was told that I was sleepwalking.
Okay.
So, and I think I've noticed like a trend. When I do weird stuff in my sleep, it's when I'm away from home. I'm in a hotel, or I'm at a friend's house or something.
Uh-huh.
Or at least that's like when, people are actually observing what I'm doing while I'm sleeping. Okay, so this was in high school. I was at a hotel in Reno with my brother, Eric.
Uh-huh.
We were sharing a room, and I guess at one point in the night, I got up and I started walking towards the door. And thankfully, he was still awake, like watching TV or doing whatever he was doing.
Uh-huh.
And I start to open the door, and he's like, well, what are you doing? Where are you going? Because it's like midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I had turned to him and I said, I have to go check the avocados. They're being electrocuted.
Yes. I definitely remember.
And he's like, okay, no, you're not going to walk out into like downtown on the strip Reno.
You're like 17 or whatever.
Yeah. And so I guess he got me to go back to bed. And I vaguely remember getting back into bed, but I do not remember anything about trying to go outside or about avocados being electrocuted.
Oh my gosh.
I have no idea where that came from or why. But yeah, I think that's been my I want to say it happened because I was away from home. My sleep schedule may have been like a little bit off. Like, it just wasn't my regular comfortable surroundings.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what caused it. But yeah, it was really weird. Have you ever slept walked?
Never. That I know of. Never.
Yeah, it's creepy.
I'm a really light sleeper.
Okay.
So I feel like
You just wake up.
I would wake up. Yeah. I mean, the littlest thing will wake me up.
Oh, I'm not that way. I definitely sleep through a lot more than I probably should.
No, I mean, if the dogs get up in the middle of the night, I hear them. If my kid moves in the middle of the night, I hear her. If anything, I'm always the one to wake up and kick Nick and go like, there's some weird noises outside. Go check it out.
Yeah, no, I sleep right through those weird noises. I just pretend they never happen. But yeah, so NREM is also the same stage where sleep talking, confusion arousals, and sleep terrors occur.
Okay.
So, have you experienced any of those things?
Well, Eric, speaking of Eric, our brother used to have night terrors.
Really?
Uh-huh. He and he would sleepwalk as well.
Oh, okay.
He would sleepwalk down a flight of stairs.
Oh, that's creepy.
And come into, like, we'd be watching TV in the family room, and he would just stand there and stare.
Oh, that's so creepy. I hate that.
But he also had night terrors where he would just, I don't remember the night terrors as much, but Mom told me that Eric had night terrors. And Nick, to this day, my husband will talk in his sleep. And it's to the point of where I can talk to him and he'll respond to me.
You need to record this. I remember you recording it a long, long time ago. Mm-hmm. You need to start recording this again.
Pretty entertaining.
Oh, I love it.
He's told me the meaning of life before in his dream. He's told me
I remember one story that you told me where he sat up in bed and he like gripped the side of the bed and he's like, hold on,
the train's gonna derail.
I love that story so much. I love it.
Yeah.
I have a friend too who anytime like we go anywhere, anytime I'm like spending the night with her in the same room, she will always talk.
Really?
Yeah, just full on talk. Like one time she was like doing this whole counseling session where she was like talking to somebody and like helping them through their problems. And another time she was like talking to her dog.
So
and
can you talk to her and she'll respond to you?
No, she's like having her own conversation on her own.
See, Nick will like acknowledge you and maybe not respond appropriately, but he will respond.
Yeah, the only other time that I've experienced this that I know of, like that there's somebody there to witness it, was when I went, again, I was in a hotel. So I think it's like the whole idea of not being home that sets me off. I was in Las Vegas and Adam and I were on our way to Zion. We're going to do this like whole 3-day hiking adventure. And my boss actually loaned me a book before all of this because he's super into the outdoors. I'm super into the outdoors. And it's, oh shoot, I forgot the name of it. What is it? Like 172 hours or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
The guy who gets...
Oh, Trapped. The guy that gets...
Yes, that he gets
hiking by himself.
Yeah, however many hours he was stuck there. I forgot what the number was. So I had recently just finished that book. I'm getting ready to go on this hike on my own. So I jumped out of bed screaming in this Las Vegas hotel.
No.
But I will say that I was having a dream where my arm got stuck, like his did. So in that regard, which I'm sure a lot of other people have experienced as well, I don't think I am in this dreamless state of sleep. I think I was, in fact, dreaming because that's what I remember.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe there's like certain things are in NREM and certain things aren't.
But you're transitioning from one stage to the next.
That's a really good point. That could have been what it is. But according to Psychology Today, sleepwalking occurs in this non-REM sleep. So it occurs more often in children than adults. And one long-term study found that 29% of children from the age of 2 to 13 years old experience sleepwalking, with the peak incidence occurring between the age of 10 and 13.
I think that's around when Eric was sleepwalking.
Yeah. I think that's when it's most I mean, from the stories I've heard, that's when it occurs. In adults, the prevalence is estimated to be up to 4%, so it's much fewer. And some scientists believe that this is due to the lack of brain development and hormonal imbalances that correct themselves over time as individuals mature. So, like, people just grow up.
That's so horrible sounding. The lack of brain development.
Like, I copied and pasted that.
No, but it just sounds like you're
insulting.
just so stupid.
Well,
your brain isn't developed yet.
That's a good point that you bring up because researchers also have found that sleepwalking is far more common in men than women.
Because, well,
they lack a brain development. Is that what you're saying? For those who continue to sleepwalk as adults, they often contribute their conditions to at least like one of the following things. So like I said before, a lot of researchers can't quite like pin down exactly why this happens. It's just like this strange phenomenon.
Sure.
But they've noticed that genetics and family history indicate whether or not you're going to be a sleepwalker. Sleep deprivation also definitely increases your odds of sleepwalking. Certain medications like Ambien.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of people doing crazy shit while they're on Ambien?
I've heard of people like having Ambien, like, is it dreams or Ambien?
Oh, are you thinking of like NyQuil dreams?
Maybe.
Because I've heard of that. People having super weird, vivid. I've experienced that.
I have too.
When you take NyQuil, you have crazy ass like psychedelic dreams.
I've never taken Ambien, so I can't speak from that. But
that's like a prescription drug for insomnia.
No. I have no problem sleeping.
Oh. I have problems staying asleep sometimes, but I actually had a coworker way back when I was working at Target who was prescribed Ambien, and he like had crazy shit happened to him.
While he was sleeping.
Yeah. So, like, there was one night where he woke up in his backyard and he was just straight digging a hole with his hands.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm. And he had another night where he just woke up in the bathtub.
Oh, I don't know if I would take that anymore
Yeah,
if I was doing stuff like that.
It can really mess you up.
Wow.
Of course, alcohol influences your sleep cycles and
I don't know
schedules.
anything about that.
As Rosa downs her drink. Brain injuries, fevers, obstructive sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, and, of course, stress.
Okay.
Okay.
I can check a few of those boxes.
So since you said you haven't sleptwalked yourself.
Never.
But have you ever witnessed anybody sleepwalking?
Just Eric.
Oh, okay. So you remember that?
Vaguely. Like super, super vague.
Okay. Our cousin too, Jesse, used to sleepwalk. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-mm.
He would get up in the middle of the night and he would go into the kitchen, and he was a sleep eater. And I remember one night he opened a jar of Ovaltine and just straight like started chowing down
Like the powder.
on just dry Ovaltine powder. Yeah.
You saw this?
I don't
Or Michelle
remember.
told you?
I think she may have
His
told
mom?
me. I do remember him sleepwalking one night and getting stuck in a corner.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
But look at that. Eric, Nick, Jesse.
All men.
All men.
Well, and then me too.
Well, and Monique.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys didn't walk. You're just vivid.
Well, yeah, I had
you
to
did.
check
You
on the
got it.
avocados being electrocuted. Okay, so if you have not witnessed this, this is like kind of the symptoms of what it looks like when somebody's sleepwalking. So during an episode, a person may have open, glassy eyes
Yep. Eric's eyes were open.
with a blank stare.
Total.
They usually have minimal responsiveness,
Mm-hmm.
and they're incoherent in their speech if they're speaking at all.
I don't remember him talking.
It's important to recognize that despite the name, sleepwalking is not limited to just walking. So like you said, when Nick sat up thinking he was on a train, other types of actions can occur. And it's still under the umbrella of sleepwalking. So, for example, people can run,
Okay.
like go running.
Oh, jeez.
They can get dressed like they're going to, get up and go to work. This is the one that seriously creeps me out. Rearrange furniture. Like,
why?
get up and rearrange, like stack things, like take books and like put them in a super tall stack.
I wonder what they're thinking.
I don't know. That's
Like getting dressed. Okay, maybe you think you're going to work. I get that.
It's like that routine muscle memory sort of thing.
But rearranging, like, are you building a fort to like protect yourself from like some warrior?
Maybe, but again, they're not dreaming, which is a really weird
right.
thing.
That's right.
So I don't know if you remember the Tone It Up girls.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was Katrina. First off, the Tone It Up girls are these super famous influencers. They're like all over Instagram,
Fitness
YouTube.
chicks.
And there's these two chicks, and one of the chicks like does shit in her sleep, and she posted this video a long time ago, and it creeped me out, where she had taken like basically all of the things in her bedroom and stacked them one night while she was asleep.
No
She took like a jewelry box, and on top of that she put a book, and on top of that she put like a little figurine, and on top of that she put a makeup palette, and just like made this big stack. Like that, to me, if I had a partner and I woke up the next morning and saw that they had done that, or I saw them doing that in the middle of the night, I would for sure think they were possessed.
Absolutely.
Because for whatever reason, that like unnatural.
Yeah, there's no need for that.
Oh, it's so creepy.
So what do you do? Like, do you wait? Are you supposed to wake people up? Are you going to get to that?
Yeah, I will
Okay.
get to that. So let me tell you a little bit more about what people do while they're sleepwalking, what some people can do. Another thing is engaging in sexual behavior.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of that.
Yeah, and while researching this, I heard about one case where a couple kept finding like used condoms around, and they didn't know like where it was coming from. And of course, like they're each accusing the other of infidelity until they found out that the wife in this relationship was going out and like having sex with strangers and bringing the condoms back.
So the husband didn't wake up
I guess
when
not.
she would go out?
Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if they had like different schedules or different shifts, or if maybe.
Wait. And she brought used condoms back to the house?
Uh-huh.
That's gross.
It's super gross, but she's asleep, so you can't blame her. Another thing that's a little bit more common than that is urinating in inappropriate places.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
just
heard
like,
of people like peeing in drawers.
Yes.
I know a guy that peed, like he pulled out like a drawer in his dresser and peed in it because he thought it was a urinal or whatever.
That seems to be like one of the more common ones.
I think a lot of that has to do with like alcohol too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Less often behaviors can be violent and more complex, and that can include things like operating equipment or driving cars while asleep. So sleepwalking episodes can last anywhere from a few seconds to a half an hour, most of them finishing probably around 10 minutes, like that extent of time in that sleep cycle stage. The person may return to bed or go back to sleep on their own, or they may wake up confused, like still out of bed. So you just like do something, wake yourself up, and you're like, oh my God,
wait, why am I here?
Right. So key symptoms of sleepwalking, other than NREM parasomnias, that a person virtually, sorry, let me rephrase that. So a key symptom of sleepwalking is that the person virtually never has a recollection of the episode that they were in when they wake up.
That makes sense. Sure.
So, like, my experience, I don't remember ever saying that the avocados were being electrocuted. Like, I think people, it happens and their brain is not saving any of those memories.
Which is weird.
Which is very weird. Again, it's like this weird zombie state. So for that reason, they most often learn about their sleepwalking from a family member or a roommate. So most experts, this is what you were asking about, advise against jarring awake people in the middle of a sleepwalking episode. This is because they're not aware of their situation, and jolting them awake may provoke fear, confusion, or even anger. So to me, this is almost like triggering kind of like a flight or fight response.
Sure.
But since you're just waking up, you're probably not going to flee. So I could see how that could turn into something more hostile. You're like, holy shit, like you just want to protect yourself. If possible, you can try to lightly guide a sleepwalker away from potential danger. So like there's been cases of people walking off balconies, like climbing over the edge, walking out of windows. So obviously you're gonna guide a person away if you see that happen.
With Eric, when he was little, mom would just say, okay, you need to go back to bed.
And he would go?
And he would just kind of like stand there for a little while. Come on, let's go back to bed. And like, I think she'd walk him.
Dude, that'd be so creepy. I hate that.
But with you in Vegas or Reno or whatever it was, like it sounds like kind of what he did for you too.
He was just like, no, you're not.
Yeah, go back to bed. But you didn't wake up, right?
No.
So he got you back to bed sleeping.
Yeah. And I don't think he had to get up either, because it says, like, I think he just was able to tell me go back to bed. And that's what they recommend, is a quiet, soothing voice. And at most, light touch might be useful in directing the person in the right direction towards their bed.
So weird.
It's super weird. So if you need to wake up a person who's sleepwalking, try to do so in a way that is as gentle as possible, and be aware that they will most likely be disoriented upon waking up, which can cause a fight response. So, if you can do it without waking them, great.
Well, no one likes to be woken up.
No.
Like especially from a deep sleep, or you're dreaming, like you get that like jolt feeling.
Right. You wake me up when I'm trying to go to sleep, I will fight you. I will absolutely fight you. And
See,
I don't
I'm a flight.
have to be
I'm
sleepwalking.
like, I'm out of here. I'm gone.
Yeah. Okay, so we know that sleepwalking alone isn't that unusual, and you can find hundreds of crazy sleepwalking videos, examples like on YouTube. There's all kinds of funny videos of people doing crazy things. But how often does this truly become dangerous? And when can a sleepwalking episode turn into murder? Okay.
Okay.
Probably more often than you think.
Really?
So according to Wikipedia, there's about 69 cases of homicidal sleepwalking on record up to 2005.
Really?
There's even more now. They just haven't tallied it. There's actually a fairly recent case going on right now about a man. It's really sad. I'm not going to tell you the case because it's freaking Christmas and this is a terrible story. But apparently he killed his like infant son in his sleep. It's really, really awful. And that's, I believe it's going through trial right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like what it sounds like.
Sure.
Based on like the 911 calls and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the defense that they're using. But how do these cases play out in trial? That's like where it really gets into a sticky situation. So these people, if they murdered somebody, but they had absolutely no awareness or control, what do the courts do?
Right.
So what would you think?
I mean,
because you have to have intent, right?
well, you have to have intent, but you also have to have, I would think, a history of sleepwalking.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be just like, oh, I slept-walked.
I know. I was trying to figure out what's like, is it sleepwalked? Is it slept-walked? Is it I have no idea. I don't know.
Well, I did that one time and I just happened to kill somebody that one time I did it. Like, that's not going to work for me.
Right.
But if you have a history of it and you have a history of doing strange or maybe even violent things, then there's a little bit more of a case, I guess. But I don't know.
It's a really, really strange thing. And I think it would really go up to the jury to figure out whether or not. And then if that person truly was sleepwalking and you acquit them of murder,
are they going to do it again?
Exactly. Are they still a threat to society, or like there has to be some sort of stipulation?
Right. Are you going to be like strapped down to your bed every night you go to sleep?
Right. So there's a really famous case. I mean, obviously there's numerous cases involving sleepwalking and murder, as I said, but there's this one that's fairly famous. And I'm going to give you a little summary of it. Have you heard of the trial of Kenneth Parks?
Nope.
Okay. This is one that I know a lot of other podcasts have covered, and I'm sure they'll go into way more detail than I will. So, I mean, by all means, check them out. And we typically try not to cover cases that are fairly well known and well covered.
Yeah, we like the weird ones.
Right. But this one is very weird, and I couldn't not talk about it. It's just, it's that prominent. So, Kenneth Parks. In 1987, he was a 23-year-old man from Canada with a 5-month-old daughter. He had a very close relationship with his family, including his grandmother and his in-laws. They just spent a lot of time with them fairly frequently. His mother-in-law, 42-year-old Barbara Ann Woods, referred to him as her gentle giant.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So shortly before his daughter was born, Kenneth had accumulated a tremendous debt due to his gambling addiction.
Yikes.
Apparently, Kenneth was spending way too much time and way too much money at the racetrack. And to cover his losses, he took funds from his family's savings, and then he began to embezzle at work. So eventually...
Whoa.
Yeah.
He had an addiction.
He was really into those ponies. Like, he was betting on the racetrack a lot. So eventually, in March of 1987, his actions were discovered and he was fired from his job.
Okay.
On May 20th, he went to his first Gamblers Anonymous meeting. He made plans to tell his grandmother the following Saturday and his in-laws on Sunday about his gambling problems and the debt he had accumulated. These financial difficulties also put a strain on his marriage, which sent Kenneth to the couch. So he was sleeping on the couch every night.
All right. That's nicer than some would be.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you just had a kid. Oh, that would be awful.
I mean, I get it. He's trying to do what he thinks is best.
Right.
This one more race is going to get it for me. But
yeah, that's why they call it an addiction.
Right. Exactly.
So he... go back. Okay. Early on the morning of May 24th, 1987, Kenneth got out of the couch. I was going to say got out of bed. He got off the couch and he drove 14 miles to Pickering, Ontario. from Pickering, Ontario to the house of his in-laws in Scarborough. These are Canadian places. We don't understand.
No, how many kilometers?
It was, funny that you said that because it was actually in kilometers. It was 20 kilometers and I converted it to miles for you.
Thank you. How many miles?
14 miles.
Okay, so a decent drive.
Yeah, it's a bit of a way. Once he got to the house, he removed a tire iron from his car.
No.
And he entered their house with the key that they had previously given him.
He had it on himself?
The key?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like
he has a key to their house.
Okay, it's not like they had it hidden in like some like ceramic frog or something.
No.
Uh-huh.
So he walked into the kitchen and he removed the phone from the hook because remember this is the 80s. Then he grabs a knife from the drawer. He walks upstairs to the master bedroom where his in-laws are sleeping.
Uh-huh.
He then begins to bludgeon his mother-in-law repeatedly while his father-in-law attempts to save her.
Oh my gosh, my heart.
Once she succumbed to her injuries, he directed his violence to his father-in-law, attempting to choke him to death until he passed out.
Mm-hmm.
He then walks towards the bedroom where his 2 teenage sister-in-laws are screaming in fear. He looked into the bedroom and then he walked away. Kenneth left the house, got back into his car, and started driving once again.
What?
He drove himself to a police station, completely covered in blood, where he confessed, "I think I just killed 2 people."
Okay, so he woke up at some point.
Yes, and took himself to a police station.
Okay.
And that's, I'll tell you a little later, like how that went down.
This is vaguely sounding familiar
Oh,
now.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Because it is a fairly popular case.
I feel like I've heard this. I don't know the details, obviously. I didn't remember even the name. And I don't know what resulted, but it sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah. So the booking officer noted that Kenneth had severed all of the tendons in his hands.
Yikes.
But he seemed to be completely unaware of any pain in his body. So, given that information, do you think that he was really asleep while this happened? Like, what's just like your initial reaction?
I want to say no.
Okay. And I get that. Like,
I want to say no because he went specifically to their house. More than once I've tried to like put a key in a keyhole and struggled.
mm-hmm.
So he did this, like figured out what key it was, opened the door, went, you said upstairs?
Well, he went to the kitchen first.
And
took the phone off the hook.
Yeah. Like he was like making very conscious decisions to prevent getting caught and make this happen.
Yeah, and you're actually like on the same train of thought that I was on when I was first reading this, because to me, taking the phone off the hook is like, I'm going to make sure if there's a phone upstairs, they can't call 911.
Right.
And taking like
a knife.
I definitely thought about the key situation too. Like that takes some serious effort.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I thought is if there's screaming going on, you would think that would jar somebody awake.
Or I'm sure the husband or even the sisters-in-laws or whatever they were, like, pushing a person, you're not going to just stand there and watch someone get bludgeoned to death.
100%.
You're going to try to fight them off.
Right.
Even if you're like throwing a cup of water at their face, that's going to wake them up. So you would think like a punch or a push or some physical force
would wake somebody up. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That was my thought exactly. So the points that kind of support his defense of being asleep are that he didn't have any motive to kill them. He had a great relationship with them. He had plans on seeing them later, so that could have been in his subconscious, and that could have been acting out like, okay, I know I'm going to go see the in-laws. I have to tell them this horrible news that I don't want to tell them. I have this stress over my head about finances, about my marriage, about my job, all of these things. So that's kind of all supporting the theory. But yeah, I always go back, like, how could you not wake up at that point?
Well, and I mean, obviously there were problems in the marriage, and maybe the wife had been talking to the mom about the stresses and stuff, and maybe the mom was like, okay, well, you need to leave him. So maybe he had some anger towards her. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
So what happened with that?
Okay. So he actually did, in fact, kill the mother-in-law. The father-in-law survived. So he got charged with murder and attempted murder. And at the trial, his only defense is that he was asleep during the entire incident and he wasn't aware of anything that he was doing. Naturally, nobody believed him. Even the sleep specialists were extremely skeptical.
Okay.
However, after careful investigation, the specialists could not find any other explanation. So Parks had an EEG reading, and they were found to be extremely irregular, even for somebody who had parasomnia.
Irregular meaning what?
So meaning the response that would normally show up on a brain scan of somebody who did have a sleepwalking disorder, this was like that to the extreme. So he not only had this sleep disorder, he had a very severe case of it.
Did he have previous brain injuries?
I don't know if he had.
Earlier you had said that's like one of the triggers of sleepwalking.
Right. And I don't know, and I'm not sure if that was something that caused it, but they do know that he had a history of sleepwalking.
Okay, so it wasn't his first time then.
Right.
Okay,
but I just don't know if it ever got as bad. Like, even just taking the car for a drive is extremely terrifying.
Again, putting a key in a keyhole and turning and...
But that happens. People do that.
Yeah.
It's super
bizarre.
crazy.
It's so weird.
Okay. So his EEG readings combined with the fact that there was no motive and that he was extremely consistent with his stories in more than 7 interviews, despite repeated attempts of trying to lead him astray, are what got him acquitted of murder. Yeah, so the timing of the events fit perfectly with the proposed explanation, and there was no way of falsifying the EEG results. So that led to his acquittal of murder.
What happened with his relationship with the wife?
That I tried to find out, and I don't know, because I did find out a little bit later, and this was kind of my ripple, is that he did go on to have more children. I believe he had 6 children total, and that 5-month-old daughter was his first child. So whether he got with somebody else or they stayed together, I'm not sure. I don't think I could stay with somebody after that.
After they killed your mom and tried to kill your dad?
Yeah.
No, even if it was a total accident.
No.
Not accident. Car crash. Okay, whatever. That's a whole other issue. But like with your hands and killed them?
Yeah.
No.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if he stayed with her or if I kind of think that he had kids with somebody else. He moved on. But the thing is, and this is kind of my ripple, is that stuck with him for the rest of his life. I mean, it's not
he
like
murdered somebody.
Right. But imagine having that occur, and to you, it was just a blip on the radar. Like, it didn't, in your mind, it didn't happen.
Right.
Like, imagine waking up to that guilt and that regret. Like, that's,
what do you think? How do you think he sleeps every night? Do you think he has like bells on him? Like, remember when Mom was in college and she drilled a hole in the wall with her roommate and they made like an alarm
system? Yeah.
I mean, I wonder.
He just puts bells all over his body.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? What do you think he does?
So apparently he got treatment for his sleep disorder. Hopefully that solved it. But I would think, man, if I had that happen, I would have a lock on my door like that I couldn't open. I would have it locked from the outside. I don't think that I could. I mean, you'd have to, right? Like some sort of digital alarm system that like locked you in there from the time that you go to bed until you wake up. Like,
or like I said, like being strapped down to a bed. Like
I couldn't sleep like that though.
I mean, like a straight jacket.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. And then, okay, so think about this too. So he's had like all these other kids, right? So clearly he's hooking up with somebody, whether or not that's his wife or somebody else.
Uh-huh.
Imagine hooking up with that guy and then like you got to be like, hey, dude, get the hell out of my bed.
Before you fall
Because
asleep.
I don't, like, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to sleep next to someone like that.
Yeah. So,
Treatment or not.
okay, so this is what happened later on in more current times, because that was back in the 80s before I was even alive. But this, I believe, was in 2009. He actually ran for the local district school board.
Okay.
You seemed concerned about this.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay, so he was a candidate for the Durham District School Board. And I don't believe he actually got that position. I think maybe some other candidate got it. But when he put in his, I don't know, what do you call it? Like
Ballot?
when you throw your hat in the ring.
Sure.
When you're like, hey, I want to be a part of the school board.
I'm going to run. Did the power just go off?
I don't know.
We're fine, though.
But I can't see my paper anymore.
Oh, right.
Did we seriously just lose power?
We must have.
Oh, shit. This is a haunted freaking night.
Okay. Do you have a phone or with a light?
Yeah, I just can't find it.
know. Oh, wait. I've got mine. Okay.
Okay, so he was running for school board. And when he did that, I guess the fellow candidates, I guess this is a pretty cutthroat election. They sent out an email basically exposing his dirty laundry.
Can we just say that we're recording totally in the dark by the light of a cell phone?
I know, and I'm a little freaked out, to be honest, but I just want to
dark. Okay,
I want to
finish
get out
up.
my words.
Keep going.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, yeah, his opposing candidate sent out this email and they told everybody about what happened to him 20 years previously, about how he's a murderer.
Yeah.
And which is pretty fucked up because, like, if the courts decided that, like, he wasn't, in fact, guilty of this, I feel like that shouldn't be able to be used against
But welcome
you.
to politics.
Exactly. Like, you Canadians, come on, you guys are supposed to be nice. So when contacted by the local paper about this issue, he responded saying, the issues that have been brought up were 20 years ago and yes, are a matter of public record. He said, now, 20 years later, I am just a concerned parent that is trying to make sure children of our community get the best education possible.
Good for him.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Good for him.
Once again, the issue should be about the schools. And if this is taken away from it, then I apologize. My intentions with running for school board trustee were to actively participate in a community that I am proud of, not to turn elections into a circus, he said. I ran in this election because I am very concerned about how many of our schools fell below the average, and I have 5 children in this school system.
I'd vote for him.
Yeah, I felt as a parent that I wanted to help with correcting this problem. So, yeah, he has 6 kids now, aging from 4 to 19. The eldest
Did he win?
being in. I don't think he did, unfortunately,
Aw.
which is kind of sad.
I mean, maybe someone better was for the job, but I mean, I love his honesty and just like embracing the shit that happens.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked. It's really sad. Like, I can see both sides of it. Because
totally.
you would be a little wary of, like, this guy has legit killed somebody
Right.
with his bare hands.
Right.
But at the same time, if you have a medical disorder, see, this is where I think that in cases like this, and there have been obviously many, that it can't be murder because there's no intent behind it. It can't be manslaughter because manslaughter is like a disregard for, you know, other people's safety around you. It's like negligence is
Sure.
manslaughter. So it can't be that either. So I would think like the only thing would be temporary insanity.
Which it doesn't even fall under that category.
Why not? You don't think that that would be temporary insanity?
I don't know. I feel like temporary insanity almost gets used too frequently.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of any cases of where that's like actually worked.
You just, well, I know a lot of, I mean, I don't know, but like cases that have tried to use it, whether it really was or not. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the sleepwalking or what do you call it?
Parasomnia.
Is a better or a more legit argument than temporary insanity.
Yeah.
At least it's like medically diagnosed and there's been a history of it, and I don't know.
See, I feel like that falls into insanity as well. Like all of those, you do have to have a medical disorder. You do have to have, a professional diagnose you. And you can't just be like, oh, I was insane.
I was
really
raged.
hangry that morning, and I don't know, like
felt like
people
killing
just pissing
somebody.
me off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like you do have to have those actual medical tests and diagnostics done
for in order for it to stick.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know. I just it started off as a cool topic about crazy shit that happened in France, and then it kind of evolved into this.
It's so interesting to me.
It's really bizarre, and I'm terrified of being in a room with anybody who has walking parasomnia, because it's trippy, and people, man, go on YouTube and watch some of those videos. There's people dancing. Oh, it creeps me out.
Yeah.
It's seriously if I were to envision somebody being possessed, that's what it would look like. It's so weird.
I feel like that is even more bizarre than someone super intoxicated. You know how they say oh, when you're drunk then your true self comes out or whatever.
Bullshit. I've done some stupid stuff when I've been drunk that I would not do sober. No part of me wanted to do those things sober.
Right. But you've been blacked out drunk and you don't remember doing stuff or whatever. I wonder how that, with brain waves and all that sciencey stuff, how that plays into factor with the whole sleepwalking.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because when you're at a certain state of intoxication, what is making those choices for you? Is it your subconscious? Is it just random
you're explaining
brain
this a lot better than I am.
But is that kind of what you're saying?
Totally.
Is it just random chemical reactions going off in your brain and you have no part in it? Or is it your subconscious? Or is it
what is controlling you at that point?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. It's so weird. I don't know. That's all I got for you. I have my sources here.
Do you want to just put them in show notes since we're in the dark now?
Yeah. We can just put them in the show notes. I mean, Wikipedia, Psychology Today, some local papers,
some sciencey stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. If you've ever experienced this, let us know. Send us a message on Instagram's usually the best. We're at RipplePod on Instagram. Or if you want to send us a longer email, you can send us an email at theripplepodcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook too that we don't really do much with, but you could absolutely follow us or whatever. Facebook is The Ripple Podcast. And last thought and a shot.
Sing it.
Oh, God. Last thought and a shot. Last thought and a shot. Da, 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 da.
Close enough. We're at 11. We're at 11% on the computer,
and we have no power now. We're literally sitting in the dark. It's kind of creepy. I don't know how long we're gonna be on fire soon.
We'll do it. We'll do it. Okay, fast. Fun fact. What are you afraid of?
Snails.
Oh, good job. Me too.
Good job. Why is it a good job?
Well,
I hate that.
You got it. You got it right. So snails. Angela and I have a super weird fear of snails.
I have such a bad phobia that I don't even like telling people, because I feel like they're going to plot against me with snails.
Oh, I've had people send me text messages of giant snails.
I hate it.
It's gross. So let me tell you a little fun fact about snails in France, because this is just kind of funny.
I hate it.
So this is from expectia.com. France, like many countries, has its fair share of weird laws. As you'd expect from the French, a few involve kissing, snails.
They have parasites. Don't do that.
No, you don't make out with a snail. Like French kiss?
Oh, I thought you were talking about people kissing snails.
No.
Oh,
Okay, so
I'm glad that doesn't happen.
Here's the funny French law that involves snails. So snails must have their own ticket on French trains. So
Why
it
is
says
this a thing?
because like the French eat snail so frequently, and apparently it's like a breakfast food,
Ew.
right?
Escargot.
If you have anything animal weighing less than 5 kilos, and I don't really know what a kilo is, kind of like a
I don't know. I was just picture bricks of cocaine.
sure kilos, but anything less than 5 kilos, it must travel with their own ticket, and so that includes a snail. So if like you're importing or moving or whatever, if you own a French restaurant and you're going to be cooking up a bunch of French snails
Ew.
on a train, you actually need to buy a ticket.
Wow.
For this.
So is that only if they're alive?
I don't know.
Because, like, what if they're just, like, prepared? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's, like, one of those things, like crab or lobster or whatever. Like, people want them real fresh.
Yeah, I'm assuming, like, yeah, like seafood. You want it
I don't know.
alive until it's dead.
Okay, great explanation, Rosa. That's
Okay.
No,
Well, that's my weird French story.
that is
Funny.
weird. That's gross. That makes me not ever want to get on a train if I go to France.
Can you imagine like sitting next to someone with like a bag of?
Oh, I wouldn't.
Oh.
I absolutely wouldn't. It's so disgusting.
No, it bothers me a lot.
I
It bothers
hate it
me
so much.
It bothers me. Gross. All right, so let me
Okay.
pick really quick before we run out of life on the laptop.
Yeah, seriously,
Okay.
that would be bad.
Here, hold my phone while I pick.
Okay, I'm gonna take Rosa's phone and I am shining a flashlight on her basket.
I wish we had this recorded right now.
this is
This would
the
be
kind of-
hilarious.
Dedication we have to this podcast.
Oh shoot, sorry.
Okay.
It's dark. I can't see a whole lot. Okay, so I am going to Arizona.
Ooh, I love Arizona.
Arizona is great. It's
Power's back
We've
on.
got power again. Okay,
It's
well,
a Christmas miracle.
I'll pick really fast, and it's mystery. Mystery in Arizona.
Ooh, it's a mysterious place.
Yeah,
I like it.
sure.
Okay.
All right, well, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus.
Happy all of the things. Happy New Year. Well, we'll be back before the
We
New
will,
Year.
but you can send us a present for New Year's if you didn't send us a Christmas present.
I mean,
We would love it.
we will definitely take any donation you want to give us.
All right, have a great holiday, and we will talk to you next week. Don't forget to be a fountain.
And not a drain.
Bye.
Bye.